Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95 the Savior, and yeah, I hope this actually records because I just got a really weird notification. I'm using my MacBook. It said that my mic isn't working and asked me to type in my password, which I did, and I can see the little thing telling me that the mic is on, so I hope this records. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be a Rand's Japanese journal. As always, my little disclaimer because we're gonna talk. This is me telling you my true feelings, my thoughts on my day, telling you things that I have not shared with anybody, and things that, aren't necessarily professional or politically correct, things that I can't really say at work. I'm talking to you like I know you, like you're my family, like you're my friends. So, yeah, you're going to hear me speak bluntly on things. And if that offends you, these are not the videos for you. These are my true, honest thoughts. I think we all know there's a huge difference with how you pretend to be in the professional world versus the real you when you're talking to your friends, your family, whatever. So, yeah, there's no script. I just talk as I think. And yeah, let's get to it. So, these are not videos giving you advice or telling you that I'm right or what you should do, but rather me exploring my own thoughts and sharing an event that happened recently. So, yeah, I've been meaning to make this video actually for quite some time. It's been about a week, I think, and I've honestly lost track of the exact days, but oh my God, there's just so much that has happened. And honestly, I'm gonna make this video kind of as my little teaser for a reason for you to join my Patreon, which I've talked about before. If you really enjoy my videos, you like me, you want to support my channel, I highly, highly, highly suggest and beg you to sign up for my Patreon account. It's mostly just, me writing literally written posts about, things going on in my week and my life that I don't share on my channel or that I have not shared yet, as well as some, little videos in between every now and then. I generally try to make 3 to 4 posts a month. It varies between videos and written journals, etc., basically status updates. So, yeah, but the goal in that is not for the content per se, but rather supporting my channel. So, yeah. Off of that, I'm planning to keep my videos about my work life, etc. there for obvious reasons. That's more personal stuff that everybody doesn't need to hear about. So I'm probably going to move that over to that part of my channel and keep my regular day-to-day stuff, journals here for free. So yeah, excuse my voice. I'm still a little bit sick. Excuse me, I might have to cough every once in a while too. Don't worry, I'm fine. I don't have anything yet, but I'm joking with you. But anyway, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I shouldn't say this, but first I want to get this out of the way. I am like 90% sure that one of, if not two of my coworkers are like on to me and know I have a YouTube channel, and you know who you are. And if you do, like, please tell me that you've watched my videos. Oh, no, never mind. No, I take that back. Please don't tell me. That would probably like creep me out and make me feel like paranoid. But yeah, we're going to talk about that later. But oh my gosh, or maybe we won't. Like, I literally have no script. I'm going to forget everything that I'm talking about. So just remind me in the comments. But no, don't remind me in the comments because I don't have time to reply right now. But yeah, I started this new job and I'm just going to be completely upfront. I don't like it. I knew I wasn't going to like it, but I accepted it because of the salary and because of the fact that obviously I've dug myself a pretty deep hole and I'm trying to pull myself out of it. So I'm literally working this job just for a paycheck, and because unlike other jobs that I've had, it's doable. I don't feel that I can't wait to go home type feeling. It's easy work to do. There's no helicopter boss, no one hovering over me, but there's a lot of little issues that irritate me. And so, again, before we get into that, please keep in mind this is me expressing my thoughts and feelings. And as I already said, of course, I'm grateful for the fact that I have a job, I have money, but of course, there's still problems that come with work. And it just like reminds me like of how big of a mistake I made last year with quitting the job that I had, my dream job. And it's really a shame for me to be saying that because I mentioned this in my first video where I came back and I said, my title was something like, sorry for breathing or whatever. Yeah, you haven't seen the video that I was videos that I was referring to as far as that goes. What I was referring to in those videos about things that I probably shouldn't share isn't about my opinions on stuff, but me coming clean about, I kept alluding to the fact that there were rumors and stuff going around about me from my previous job, and I didn't want to address it, but I feel like now is finally the time to do it. And I know it's going to hurt me because the problem is by me addressing it and because I work for such a big school, big company, and there's only so many schools here. There are a lot of them, but there's only so many. It's going to eventually haunt me, both my reputation, like without saying anything at all or saying something, as well as especially by me making a video and doing a blog post sharing what really happened. So in one sense, I'm defending myself, but also I'm admitting something that I was guilty of, which is going to hurt me. But I want to come clean. I'm tired of having to stay quiet, and I haven't lied about anything, but just I feel like I am by not saying anything. So yeah, that's that. But anyway, I'm literally like working this job just to get enough money to start my own school. Like I refuse. I do not want to have to go through this process 2022. I want to be done relying on other companies for sponsoring my visa. I don't want to have to rely on a spouse. I don't want any of that type of stuff. I want to be fully independent on my own. And not that I won't be getting a spouse visa. I do plan to get that, but you know what I mean? Like I just want to have my own stuff. So this is the part that got me. So while the job is easy and it's pretty much what I want, the biggest issue that I have is that we haven't really been, it was two people, me and one other person that got hired, and we haven't really been placed in any particular classroom. And I'll go into detail about that stuff later. I'm really backtracking. But that's been a lot of the problems that I've had. And the most recent issue, which is what this video will be about. So forget everything else I said that, we're going to talk about that later. When I say later, I mean in another video, if you remember and remind me. But if you care. For this video, I want to talk about just one topic because you guys know me. There's so much detail, so much stuff, and I have not really spoken about this job to you guys that I just want to focus on one thing. So at this job, there's this one girl who I knew was trouble from the start when I first met her. And she's Japanese. She's bilingual. She learned English from working at the company, allegedly. But you know how that lie goes in Japan. Everybody likes to pretend like they learned English in less time than they really did. And then at the same time, simultaneously pretending like they can't speak English. So for her, she claims that she learned after just working there for a year. But it's like, come on. Everybody knows that you all learned English in junior high school, you learned it in high school, you took it in college, and then of course, after working, using it for a year, you significantly improved as well. I don't like that people try to pretend like they had zero knowledge whatsoever and just learned overnight type thing. It's really annoying to me. That would be like me moving to Mexico and pretending I learned Spanish in 6 months when really I took Spanish back when I was 8 years old and I took it consistently throughout my childhood. But of course, living there for 6 months, well, now I've had the chance to be immersed in it. Now things are coming back to me. Now I'm learning new things. Now I have to use it to, survive. So whatever, not gonna get into that, but yeah, she's literally labeled herself as the boss, and so she goes around micromanaging everyone, but she's not the boss. And according to what we've been told, I don't know whether it's really true or not, she's getting the same salary as the Japanese staff. And so keep in mind that at this company that I'm working at, it's really unfair, but fair. So normally when you have a job like at an international school, they refer to the Japanese staff as being assistant teachers, which is what they are. Their job is to assist you, help with the class. But in actuality, in this circumstance, the assistant teachers are basically more like, I wouldn't even call them snitches, but they're called team teachers, but they don't team teach. They get the same, I'm pretty sure they're getting the same salary as us without having to do even half of the work. They literally show up, they do the craft for the day, and you do all of the actual work with the students. And then they don't even handle the dirty tasks. So for example, normally the assistant would do things like diaper changes and any of the dirty, grunt work, whatever. No. It's completely split in half as far as that stuff goes, if you want to call it half. But what does not get split is you do the lessons pretty much entirely, whereas they get the fun little stuff like crafts. Excuse me. And so like you have the option, like you can talk it over with them, and you can choose to like switch things up, but you know how that goes. It's expected for you to do certain things. So trying to negotiate switching, like, oh, I want to do crafts, and the Japanese person do circle time is not going to happen. So whatever. But yeah, they specifically make it very clear that your job is not to boss around the Japanese teacher. Rather, you're supposed to work together, which that's fine if they're really actually doing the same work as you, but they're not. So yeah, I find that to be very problematic. And this is where it becomes a huge issue. So apparently this girl in the past, she's only dealt with people that have worked part-time, and I'm the first full-time person for them to be dealing with, me and this other guy. But the other difference is I don't have time to get into the details of these people in my video, but basically I'm the only person that's a professional teacher that really, has qualifications to teach, which is understandable in Japan. That's normally the case. But not just that. The people that I work with seem to just be grateful to have a job and are just comparing it to, they've been at worse companies. And they're kind of lazy, but in a not lazy way. Like they work hard and in a lot of circumstances much harder than I do, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it seems like they prefer a role, especially the guy that, was hired at the same time as me. They prefer, or, he does, or I think really everyone, a role where they don't really have to do anything, like where someone else is just telling them what to do and they follow it, which I don't mind if you're really the boss. But in this circumstance, it's like you're my equal, if not lesser. Like you made yourself the manager. And she does everything that she doesn't have to do. So for example, she stays late at work. She comes in early. She does, she's right there in the meetings with my boss. She's there when the parents come. Like she does everything and makes herself stressed out. And of course in Japan, because she's Japanese, I want to emphasize on because she's Japanese, not just because we're in Japan, because she's Japanese, it's admired. And so that's the part that really kills me. So for starts, I don't have anything against, following orders, listening to instructions, whatever. I can do that part. But I don't like people that do that and then act funky about it too. Like she acts like she's on her period all the time. She's supposed to read her mind. And she can literally like just go from 0 to 10. Like she can be completely calm and nice and then have like an attitude and seem irritated with you and want you to, just read her mind type thing. So I expressed from the beginning, because they have different classes. It goes from preschool up to kindergarten. And their kindergarten in Japan has 3 levels. So there's K1 is what they call it for kindergarten 1, K2, K3. So they typically start K1, I believe, at like I think it's age 3 to 4 or 4 to 5, whatever. Basically, each year. So the whole class is 4-year-olds. The whole class is 5. The whole class is 6. So I think it's age 4. But because they would be graduating at age 6. So yeah, I wanted to be grateful for that at first because okay, I have a job. But I got upset because during my interview, I was asked, which classes I prefer, and so I told them K3. And so in their defense, to add that I applied to did say preschool, but because they showed me around the school and told me the situation that they were losing their kindergarten teacher and that they had, a K3 class, which didn't exist the year before but was going to the next year, I made it very clear, look, this is my previous class. Yeah, I want that. But after actually starting to work there, it became very clear that because I am a woman, they prefer for me to be with the preschool kids, which is where I was. But conveniently, very, very conveniently, after I had, an incident, which I will talk about, I got moved to where I wanted to be. But nothing is official yet as of the making of this video. So this is what happened. I've seen this person, this Japanese girl. We're gonna call her Mickey. No, Miki. So Miki really like makes things hard for herself because like I said, she takes on a job that isn't hers. And because she's done that and done such a great job with it, pretending to work so hard, I'm literally the only person in the whole company that realizes and, can smell her BS. Everyone literally like praises her and is like, oh my God, you're such a hard worker. You're such a whatever. And I just can't help but to think like double standard much. So, and the reason why I say this is, it's only okay for her to do that. Because if I were to do that to somebody else, I'll get to this part later, you would be seen as bossy, rude, someone that can't, work together with a team. You're looked down upon. But if a Japanese person does, oh, you're a hard worker, you're passionate, you care about the company. So Yeah, I didn't care about that part. But this is where, like, I literally finally snapped. So it was one day where I was asked to move and work with the kindergarten age kids instead of being with the preschool age kids. And while I was there, there's a special needs kid that we have. He has autism. And while I was, listening to, there's a white American teacher. We are going to call her Brandy. While I was listening to Brandy, explain to me, how they handle him, like the things that he can and can't do. And I had already been here for a month at this point, or about a month at this point. And so, yeah, like I was the one who was getting him ready. And so she was just telling me, oh, you don't have to do this. He can do this part for himself, whatever, which he wasn't doing at the moment. But she was explaining to me how he's basically been regressing. So she comes upstairs, which she never does during her time. She's supposed to be with the preschool kids, just to complain and be like, two teachers here isn't good. We don't need two teachers doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why are you up here? Mind your own business. Stay downstairs with the preschool kids. You're just up here because I'm here, basically. Are you jealous, mad? Like, what's going on? You don't want me to be here? Then why do you? Because I'm pretty sure she's the one that chose to have me up with the kindergarten age kids. I don't know. So anyway, we separate. I pretend to do something else, even although I should have been the one keeping the special needs child because I was with him first. But whatever. So anyway, left that alone. But then a later part in the day, I, was in the room and they're having lunch inside the classroom. And one of the teachers had tried to open up the door stupidly, not realizing there was a child lock on it. And so he pulled on the door too hard and broke the child safety lock. And I think it took the door off the hinge or something. Excuse me, needed the cough. And so, yeah, he went and, told the boss. And instead of her getting mad at him for pulling the door too hard, they had the assistant girl, Miki. They had her come up, and she pretended to be a repairman. She came up with a hammer and everything. It was just doing the absolute most. She came up there and started knocking on the door, pretending she was fixing it. And so Brandy came over with her team Japanese teacher, the assistant teacher, basically, and was talking about what was going on. And so Miki, yells at her, and she's like, you don't need to be here. You need to, you don't need to be over here, whatever. Like, go watch the kids. Go do whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, you're literally talking to her like a dog. And Brandy just listens. She does whatever she says, doesn't complain. And I'm like, I feel angry and embarrassed on your behalf. Like, she was just constantly, like, just picking on her. Like, even with him, getting dressed, she wasn't really directing her anger at me for being here. It was more like at her. Like, why are you here? We don't need two people here. Then, after that incident's over with, she comes back into the classroom with my boss. And so they both go off on her, but, oh, don't use the lock on the door, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why would she not use the lock? You all put that lock on the door for that bad kid that has autism. Like, part of it is him being autistic where he legitimately can't help it. And another part of him is just him just being bad and doing stuff because he can. I know the difference. Trust me. And with that said, there's a lock on the door for a reason. But they're too concerned about making things look good for when parents come, because it looks bad when people come and visit the school, according to them, if the door is locked. Well, the door being locked, it doesn't matter because there's a window on the door. So you can still look in and see what's going on. You can see that she ain't strangling and beating the kids inside of there. And I'm sure if you told your visitors about that student, they would understand, which I imagine you might have to tell them about that student oftentimes because he runs out of the classroom a lot, which is why the door needed to be locked in the first place. Then if that wasn't enough reason, unlike on a normal day where they have the male teacher there kind of helping to hold him down, because literally if you're not holding him on your lap, like making him sit there, he runs, like, not just out of the classroom, he's ran outside, like out into the street, and could have potentially gotten hit by a car. He had to be chased down. It's a hazard. It's dangerous. Excuse me. The assistant that she had just had surgery done, like on her kidney or something, and wasn't able to live. So I'm thinking, like, so you wanted her to manage both watching the kids as well as watching, him as well, who's also a child, but again, has, different needs, special needs. And then not use the lock, like, what? So it's not even like they nicely said, oh, we really don't want you to use this. No. They went off on her. And so she explained, her situation. They didn't seem to care. Then I let that go. But I did finally say to her, I was like, wow, like, I don't know why they get angry about this. I've used a lot before, blah, blah, blah. And so she just seemed, kind of surprised. And I'm like, they even told me, excuse me, I just spit. They even told me about the lock. Like, I didn't know about it when I first started there. They told me like about a week or two in when I had, worked with the kindergarten age students before about like, oh, just use this lock, to keep them from going out, whatever, which I rarely did. But again, I knew that it existed and I had used it before, but nobody got on me about it. I was just lucky that the door didn't break. So anyway, yeah. Then while I'm sitting down and helping, that student eat, I normally try to help him because I feel like other people are really rough with him. And I have experience working with students that have special needs. So I try to kind of be that motherly figure there for him. So yeah, while I'm there helping him, oh my God, Miki comes back. She gets pissed. She comes out the room and she's like, aren't you with K2? Which I was with K2 for that day, but they all have lunch together. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, there was no space at that table. There were 2 teachers there, and K2 was done with their food. So why would I sit at the table or stand over there when they're just playing with toys, brushing their teeth, when all of K1 is still eating their lunch? And there's a student that has special needs, and I'm the only one that didn't bring a lunch to eat during the class time. So my hands are free. Brandy and her assistant teacher, they were eating their food. And I'm sure they wanted a break after dealing with the crap that, was going on that day. So after she says, oh, like, aren't you a K2? Like, can you move over there? I move. And then she goes over talking to Brandy quietly, but loud enough where I could hear her. And she's just barking at her, like telling her, like, oh, why aren't you feeding him? Why aren't you doing whatever? Like, you need to multitask, basically, eat your food and help him. Like, that's your job. You're getting paid to do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm not going to add words to her mouth or pretend like I know exactly what she said because I honestly forgot. But I literally, like, glanced over and my blood was boiling. I was pissed off. I'm thinking, like, just get mad at me. Your anger is at me. You're mad that I was sitting over there is what it really came down to. You were mad for whatever reason at me, being petty like how you always are. Probably caught herself mad about something random from the day before. I don't know. Because she seemed to have been having a problem with me that whole week. So, and I think that was why I was being placed with kindergarten all of a sudden, because normally I didn't get put there. So anyway, yeah. I left out and I had to interrupt my boss's lunch. I didn't know it was her lunchtime. And I told her, I was like, I really need to talk to you. Like, when you have a chance, like, I need to step away. And I explained to her what was going on. And I told her how I felt and how it didn't involve me. And like, look, I ain't friends with Brandy. I know we're both American, but we don't talk outside of work. She don't even know that I'm here talking to you right now. I really did not feel comfortable with the way she was being talked to. And I think it was really unprofessional. So we had a whole talk. And my boss was someone that was understanding, and so she listened to me. She's not super Japanese, as we say. She's very westernized, so I knew it was appropriate to do it. But I honestly shouldn't have done it. And to be honest, I'm kind of regretting doing it now for a couple of reasons, but at the same time, I feel like the good outweighs the bad. So let's start about the good part. The good part is, after I did that, Miki, she had a fake panic attack, got to go home early. And the next day, she put a sticky note on my locker apologizing. And then I came and spoke to her in person. We did a quick, fake, phony apology. She gave a garbage excuse for why she was being a jerk and didn't really give an excuse, like in a, this is what happened, I'm a bad person, but rather, oh, you misunderstood me kind of way. It's like, yeah, okay. Anyway, so there's that. Excuse me. And then the other part is, after this happened, I've been solely placed with kindergarten. Like, I'm never with the preschools. I haven't been there. And ever since then, it's been like 2 weeks now. And not just that, I am pretty sure that because I stood up and I said that, even though she pretended, oh, everything's fine, and she apologized to me, I think she caused herself feeling uncomfortable around me, because now she doesn't have small talk with me at all. It's literally strictly business. Good morning. Goodbye, if even that. And basically, oh, you're supposed to be here at this time. Can you go here? Can you do this? It's not bossing me around. It's not, trying to, join conversation with me. Nope. If I'm talking about something, even if she has an opinion, I'm sure she says nothing. She just listens. She doesn't even give me instructions or directions. She goes through other people. And so one petty part of me, I'm sorry, my notification. One petty part of me wants to like go to my boss and tell her about this. But the other part is like, no, I'm actually glad that she doesn't talk to me. I'm fine with that. But it really just pisses me off. And this is what I wanted to talk about in my video. This is the whole purpose. What all led to, there's so much more detail. I'm sorry for not going into it, but I'm not trying to make a 3-hour video tonight. I'm tired. I could never do that. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. If I were to have been going off and hounding one of the Japanese teachers, they would be so fast to go straight to my boss. And you know what happened? I get told off. I cannot use some, oh, I'm having a panic attack, go home, I can't breathe, call 911. She literally had a panic attack. They called the ambulance, emergency services. I don't think she actually left. I think she was fine and they, let her stay there. They didn't waste their time. But she got to go home early after that. And I'm like, you make yourself stressed out. Nobody's telling you to do this. Job is super chill. You want to feel like you have importance. And I don't know what's going on with this chick, but she crazy. So yeah, it just really made me mad because I could never do that. And not just me. I ain't playing a race card because I'm black. It's the Gaijin card and it's real. And this is the reason why it's not just a game and making up an excuse. When I say playing the card in this case, I mean you have fair reason to. It's not just me. Brandy, again, blonde hair, blue-eyed, white girl. Bilingual, speaks Japanese fluently, better than I can. Her circumstance is the same. So while I was sitting down talking to my boss, and she's kind of said this before, she admitted to me that her assistant teacher, who was funny because Brandy's so confused, apparently, she thought that her and her assistant, had a great relationship, which apparently they didn't. Because my boss told me how her assistant had basically came to her and was telling her how Brandy, was treating her like she was an assistant and that she was really bossy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, but that's exactly what Miki is doing. So if it's not okay for Brandy to do it, why is it okay for Miki to assume not just she's the boss of her class, but of everyone, and she gets to take on the role? My boss has even referred to her as being the head teacher, even although it's an unofficial position that doesn't exist. But because she acts like the head teacher, acts like a boss, she gets treated like one and gets to take the label. Like, come on, like what sense does that make? So yeah, like that did not sit well with me. And it really just, like, again, one part of me is angry because, like, I couldn't do that. I could not give silent treatment, stop giving you, stop talking to you, stop giving you orders like how I normally did, whatever. But then the other part is, like, I don't want her telling me what to do. I don't want her talking to me. I don't like making small talk with her. So I'm kind of happy. But it just really bothers me. And then, like, the other part, too, is I feel like I wasted my time with it because, yeah, they're friends with each other online, which I didn't know that, but that means nothing in Japan. It's just because they work together and they've been working together for a year. I'm the new person on the block. But Brandy is one of those weeboos that I talked about that is so far up Japan's butt. And I hate to say this because she's nice and she's probably going to see my video someday, but I'm just being real. She does not think they can do any wrong here. And anytime they do something that is wrong, she talks way too much. I talk a lot in my videos because it's my channel, but she says a lot of stuff that she should not be saying at work, which once again, I'll say she has privilege in that field too over me, but I'm not talking about that right now. But what I will say is, yeah, like, I feel like it was a waste to try to defend her, but at the end, it ultimately helped me more than it helped her, I guess. Because I think from her perspective, because I could tell that she was told about what happened, it was very obvious. She essentially, how can I say, made up excuses for it. Like, oh, she's really busy. She's stressed out. Yeah, they take it out on me, whatever. Because she kind of said that before I went and talked to my boss, which, again, I shouldn't have done. But I made it very clear to my boss, like, she did not send me. This is me coming on my own. I didn't feel comfortable because I was thinking if this happened to me, I would not be cool with that. So I'm speaking up on her behalf. So, and ultimately, yeah, like, that was my purpose. Like, I want to nip this in the bud because I don't want her coming and talking to me like that. She's already done some crazy stuff to me, but that's why I draw the line. Because to be honest, I was so pissed off. I was feeling so crazy in my head. I was ready to quit my job. Because, of course, part of it is towards me too. It's not just Brandy. But I'm thinking, like, why do you care about this stuff? Like, if the boss is not coming us complaining about this crap, why are you? I just don't understand that. So whatever, but again, I find it very interesting that if a Japanese person stays late, tells everyone what to do, bosses everyone around, they're a hard worker, they're really passionate. Because my boss kept saying that. Because when I was telling her about how she was speaking rude, and I told her what she said, she was like, "Oh, she's very passionate. She's very whatever." And maybe it's the language barrier. I'm like, no, no, no. It has nothing to do with her English ability. I know the difference between someone not knowing the language and someone intentionally being rude, disrespectful, and condescending. And it wasn't just what she said, but how she said it, who she said it in front of the kids. She was talking down on Brandy like she was a dog. And so I said all of this. And so, again, like that part makes me upset too. It's like whenever a Japanese person does do something bad, unlike with the foreigner, it's instantly the go-to excuse. Oh, it's the language barrier, cultural differences. You misunderstood. It's like, no, I didn't misunderstand anything. It ain't got nothing to do with language. She's rude. She's disrespectful. She's not professional. And I'm sorry, passionate about teaching, passionate about international schools. What? I don't even think this chick has a bachelor's degree in anything teaching related to begin with, if she has a degree at all. So whatever. But I'm just making myself mad just even thinking about it. So I'm done. It just really wanted to get that off my chest. It really did not sit right with me because I couldn't help but think, like I said, I can never do that. And even Brandy being a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, bilingual, married to a Japanese person, everything, been with the company for a year, everyone's kind of secretly a little bit annoyed with her because I'm not going to go into detail about her right now, but I could talk about it in another video. She talks too much about everything, doesn't realize when people don't care. She thinks in a mixture of both Japanese and American ways. Like, for example, she's trying to decide when to take her off days that she has to take because in Japan you're required. It's the law. You have to take 5 off days because if you don't make Japanese people do it, they won't do it. A lot of people. And so she meant well and was trying to ask the boss, oh, when should I take my days? But for them, it was a weird, inappropriate question to ask. It's like, you have to figure that out yourself. Excuse me. And so while she normally understands things like that, she seemed truly lost. And so instead of her, just taking my advice, nope, she went and asked everybody else, what do you think? What do you think? Should I do this? Is there any particular day you need me? And I'm like, they're trying to give you a hint that your question is not appropriate to be asking, that you need to do it yourself. Yes, it's not illegal for them to give you advice and tell you, hey, we need you on this day, so take your vacation day on this day, but it's borderline illegal, if you get what I mean. And so I said this exact thing to her, and so she didn't really get what I was saying, and was like, oh, no, and went and asked Miki, and I'm like, you're going to get the same reaction, and sure enough, she did. So whatever. And Miki was like, oh, I can't tell you, what to do, so she might have language ability down better than I do, but definitely not culture. And that part gets me too. I'll talk about that later, but we butt heads a lot. I just choose to let things go. I don't go back and forth with her. But she thinks she's an expert on Japan because she's been here for a while. She doesn't know how long I've been here. And I think to myself, you've worked at Japanese public schools. That's not the same as an international school. You also worked for a Japanese company, which is not the same as working at an international school. So she constantly compares how things were worse here, and she literally parrots or parakeets, whatever you call it, information. So, for example, my boss has said, oh, well, you get more prep time here than this place, and you have more this than that place. And I'm like, somebody's, trying to feed you why you shouldn't complain about something is never a good sign. And this isn't a situation of abuse, but I think about that, somebody saying, yeah, sure, I'm abusive, or sure, I hit you or beat you, but at least, you don't have a black eye, or at least you don't look like this person. It's it's still a crap environment, still a crap situation. What you did is still wrong. So, I'm sorry, I'm stuffy. My voice is getting all messed up, but I need some tissue. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I made things awkward at work because now I literally find myself walking into the room. She doesn't talk to me. If a conversation's going on, it ends. But at the same time, I got what I want out of it because I spoke up. She no longer is hounding, me down. She's no longer being disrespectful, condescending, and micromanaging me. And I get to be in the classroom that I wanted. So I see it as a win-win situation. So I hope that this stays. I hope I do get the kindergarten class because I do not want to be in there with her, the preschool class. And I'm also glad in one sense that she's scared of me because I don't like her micromanaging me. But I do feel offended and kind of weird that it's she's the one who controls the schedule. So normally she was the one that would come to me and be like, oh, you're going outside with the kids, you're going to the park. But instead, now she tells other people, oh, tell, Miss Ren, she's going to go outside to the park. And I'm like, why can't you just tell me yourself? Like, why are you acting cowardly and weird like that? So, whatever. And again, if I were to do it, they would quickly snitch and tell on me. And it's not just them at any company. But again, because they're Japanese, it's okay for them to do it. Just like it's okay for her to be bossy and controlling. Nobody complains. She had the staff afraid to leave a mess now. Excuse me, I needed to cough. So yeah, we have been working on like these birthday cards that they asked me to do. And apparently I left a mess on the table, which obviously I put my stuff away by the end of the day. But I'm like, I'm in here all day. Only a couple of hours outside the room. So Miki didn't say anything while I was there. But of course, once I leave, she complains about the mess, the scrap paper, whatever. And so the Japanese teachers, to kind of come back and tell me, oh, we should clean up after this. Miss Miki, was really upset. And I'm like, that's kind of what happens when you have scrap paper. Like, it kind of gets all over the place. This is your task. And she made me redo it because she stupidly didn't measure things correctly 3 times. So I'm like, the craft got done. The mess got cleaned up. I'm not bending over backwards trying to clean things up within a certain specified amount of time to help this chick that's forever on her period feel better. She's our equal. If it ain't the boss getting upset about something, I don't care. And so, mind you, this chick is my age. And so the girl that was freaking out over it, she's my mother's age. She's nearly 60 years old. So I literally just keep it to myself, but I did slip up and I said that. I was like, okay, like that's what happens when you cut paper. Like it leaves scraps. And it's a huge, double office table type thing. And she always works on the opposite side. So I'm like, why do you care? And again, I'm the one throwing it away. I'm the one doing the craft. I'm the one cleaning it up. And I did do it. So whatever. So it's just little things like that. I just hate that double standard. I could never do it. But for her, it's okay. She can do whatever she wants to. And same thing goes for the other Japanese staff. They can be bossy, but we cannot. So I'm done. Again, part of me feels like I regret standing up for her because now it made things more awkward between me and her. But the other part is like, good. I get to be placed where I want to. No more micromanaging, and now my job is made easier. So there's so much more to talk about with the people that I work with, etc. I will go into detail about this stuff on Patreon. Not going to mention it all here. It's technically a small issue. I'll get over it. I don't plan to stay here forever anyway. I'm literally just working here until I get the money to like get my own, place for my own school and get my own books and materials. So that's that. We'll talk about it more later. Sorry for doing a half video, so to speak, but there's so much detail, so much stuff to catch up on that I have to do later on. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're watching another video, and if you can afford it, please consider becoming a patron and watching my future videos on my job, my work life, my day-to-day journals there. I don't have a journal every day or even every week, but I generally try to make 3 to 4 videos and posts, combination of the two, each month. So normally like a couple of posts, a video, whatever, each month or more. And I'm planning to implement only having my journals about my work life will only be posted on Patreon, more than likely from now on, so I can go into more detail and talk more freely and have something that's exclusively there. So you'll still get journals here, it just won't be on the topic of the details about, the drama and crap at my work. So yeah, that's that. Thank you for watching. Bye.